Well, you mentioned earlier that Commons Beaumont is one of the only people who attributes meteorological phenomenon, as in weather, to meteors. He says that storms and rain, this is actually caused by the debris which is deposited into the Earth's atmosphere by the meteors that are passing through it. So, say there's going to be a big rainstorm. Well, a few days previously, there may have been meteors that passed through the atmosphere and left a trail of dust that you don't see, but this is actually changing the chemistry of the atmosphere temporarily while it's settling, and causing electromagnetic and energetic changes, and then you have your storm.
Yeah.
Well, when I read that, I immediately combined that with what Wilhelm Reich talked about, orgone energy, and he studied the weather.
He
did, and he built a machine called a Cloudbuster. It looks like a cannon, or like a howitzer cannon, kind of. But it's like a number of metal pipes, perfectly straight, that are fastened together so that they're perfectly parallel. So I think one of them had like 15 hollow metal pipes that are sort of parallel. And he's got it mounted up to a swivel that can point it in different directions, just like you can control where a cannon is pointing. But at the ends, at the bottom of these pipes, he has a metallic hose that he runs down into a body of water. So what happens, somehow this arrangement literally sucks the orgone out of the sky.
Wow.
Yes. Because these parallel metal pipes are creating some sort of, I don't know, vortex or something, but the metallic hoses run down into this pond or river, and this shit actually works. It's been done so many times.
Really?
So what it does is it sucks the orgone out of the sky.
Yeah.
To the point where you can't even touch the pipes with your hand.
Is orgone energy like life energy?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And is this is there a magnet in this howitzer type device?
Oh. All it is parallel metal tubes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all it is. Which has a metallic contact all the way to the body of water, which is why he uses metallic hoses. So they're like flexible, so he can run it down, and it's sort of grounded in the pond, or it's grounded in the river or whatever body of water he has access to. So what it does is it will make it rain. He'll go somewhere where there's been a drought. He'll set up his contraption, connect the metal hoses, and submerge the end of the metal hoses into the pond or river, aim, and just wait. The orgone gets sucked out of the sky, and all of a sudden, after a certain amount of time, thunderstorm. Now,
it's that easy. It's that easy to mess with the weather. And people are concerned about chemtrails. Yeah.
Right now, there's people. Wow. There's conspiracy people who use these things to bust chemtrails. I don't know if they're smart to be doing that, but you're not supposed to use these things without wisdom, because it's very powerful energy. And if you just put two and two together and take into account what Wilhelm Reich was talking about, then take into account what Commons Beaumont was talking about, what you're actually looking at is that setting up this device is actually attracting meteors into the atmosphere.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
If you take Commons Beaumont's knowledge into account, that's what you're dealing with. He's saying that's where weather comes from. That's why they call it meteorology. Well, as an addition to that device, as far as the orgone energy goes, Reich also did some work where he demonstrated as far as just the people's state of being, as far as the state of life force energy of the people on ground level actually affects the weather as well.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, because we all carry around a particular electromagnetic frequency with us, and depending on what frequency we are harmonizing with or what we're putting out, I think on a grand, is how many of us, and I've heard other scientists talk about how we are basically like antennas for electromagnetic frequencies, and if we are also putting out a signal, depending on.
Well, if you ever noticed, if you're listening to a radio and it's really staticky, every time you walk over to the radio, it stops being staticky. It actually starts clearing up because its antenna, is made out of iron. But
yes,
iron is what your blood is made out of.
That's true.
So you just became the antenna for that radio.
You know what else I found particularly interesting about Commons Beaumont, and just around the time that I was starting to learn that, and it became the subject, part of the subject of Dark Side of the Dragon, the video I did before the fall of Loki, and that was this idea that depending on what the meteors are bringing in with them, it can affect the levels of toxicity in the air and make people sick. And that blew my mind again, because around about the time that the coronavirus lockdown was announced, Comet Neowise was in the skies. You could see it up in the sky, and it was clear for anyone with a direct view. He said when there's a comet in the sky, epidemics break out because they bring with them toxic gases. All of this stuff I was synchronizing with, there was these signs, and just telling me that I had to look deeper into this.
Indeed.
And look at this as a possibility.
But they can bring gifts as well. A few years ago, I was up in Maine, and it was getting close to sunset, and I was at work. I looked out in the window, and I just saw that the entire parking lot and the entire landscape was glowing this like purple, pinkish kind of like just glow. It was like this glow in the air, and I couldn't make sense of it. I went outside, took a break. I'm just walking around out there, and the whole sky, the whole landscape, everything. And this has happened a few times that I can remember, but it was just like glowing this color. And the next day I called my friend who was all the way down in New Hampshire, like 100 miles away. And I'm like, did you see the colors last night before the sun went down? I was like, yeah, I did see that. That was cool. And you could maybe attribute that to what a meteor or something brought into our field. And it could I would venture to say it has to do with people's states of mind and their state of being. What are you going to attract into the earth?
That's cool. That's interesting, because I know what you mean about these crazy sunsets. I've seen quite a few of them recently, actually. And the beauty of some of them, that you could relate them to the hide of a dragon that had been like stretched out across the sky, like something out of a William Blake with his Red Dragon paintings. Or you could look at it like a flayed out golden fleece, like just this absolute. And I've stopped people in the street and I've been like, have you seen this? And they're like, yeah, no, it's incredible. Like, don't know what's going up in the sky, but it's something just amazing.
I'm glad to hear that that's happening, because